What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so recently the Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Atlanta Hawks, and in that performance, LeBron James scored, I believe it was exactly 30 points in that performance. That 30-point game was the 563rd such performance of his career in which he scored at least 30 points, breaking a long-standing record held by Michael Jordan, who actually broke that mark. I think the record when he was still a Bull, because the prior record was 516 such performances by Wilt Chamberlain. And I think he broke it while he was a Bull. He was either while he was a Bull or early on while he was a Wizard. Whatever the case, I think it was when he was a Bull. But anyway, Jordan had the record of 562 for a very, very long time. And most people will say, look, it took LeBron James 7 more seasons to break this hallowed record, if you want to call it a hallowed record. It took him 7 more years. It took him 450 more games. So there should really be an asterisk by this. And Anthony Davis said something in jest that most of us feel is just the absolute truth. And that is that, it took LeBron James a lot longer to break this record. So in the post-game interviews after that performance, he was asked about LeBron James' record, and he laughed about it and said it took him 7 more seasons. But that's obviously a hell of an accomplishment. I think he's probably number one effing everything at this point. And, while that could be that sounds like a compliment, but really what that really entails is that a lot of the records that LeBron James have toppled or he's going to break, it's only really because he's played for so long. He's played for so long that because of his longevity, he's breaking these marks. Also, you also got to look at the fact that we don't know what's in his heart, right? And we don't know what's in his head. But from LeBron James's actions and just from the way that he approaches games and little things that we see, context clues, right? It looks like his main motivation since the bubble, because we all know he's obsessed with this GOAT thing. His main motivation is to achieve as much as he can from a statistical standpoint so that, people just have no choice but to call him the GOAT. But at the end of the day, we see what the play is about this guy. He's out there just trying to play to break records. And for everybody that talks about how, if he breaks all these records, then he has to be the GOAT, then my answer to that are Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain. Because at the end of the day, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar once had, and he still has records, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was all over the record books. His name was all over the record books. But that was never enough to anoint him the GOAT. Because people say, he played 20 years. Wilt Chamberlain still owns probably 60-something, maybe close to 70 records in the NBA record books. When you bring it up, people say, yeah, but, number one, Wilt Chamberlain was a stat stuffer. Wilt Chamberlain was only playing to put up numbers, which wasn't true, by the way. Wasn't true at all. But they'll say, he was trying to put up numbers and he was a stat pattern, et cetera, et cetera. There's always some convenient excuse for these types of guys. But then when it comes to LeBron James, then it's a different argument. That's just because of his excellent play. That's because he's out there just dominating. We never seen a guy like this before, etc., etc., etc. To me, when you go out there purposely trying to stat pad, going out there with the goal of not winning a championship, but to put up numbers, have plants in the media, and have clutch sports affiliated, at least I suspect, personnel throughout the media to do nothing but create a cult of personality to stroke your ego. I have to question. I have to question at that point what's your true purpose in playing at this point. Because yeah, they create this false perception that you care about winning titles, but I don't think you really care about that anymore. You're content with your 4 titles. You're more concerned about this GOAT thing. You're more concerned because you're such a narcissist, a supreme one at that. I mean, the worst case of narcissism I've ever seen in an athlete in my entire life. He's delusional, to be honest with you. He's very delusional. Because trust me, there's something else this guy said that I wasn't even aware of until yesterday. Shout out to Jesse Gladsack, and I saw it on X/Twitter. There's something else this guy said that just tells you how delusional this person is, but I'll talk about that in my next video. This guy's ridiculous. Also, when we see people break records, right? When we see these hollow athletes break records, for the most part, it kind of helps that you do it in fewer games or fewer attempts or something like that. Because somebody had to bring something to my attention even when it comes to Saquon Barkley. You know, I said, well, look, Saquon Barkley, if he breaks the record, is going to be in, one more game. But then somebody brought something to my attention, and that is that if you compare Saquon Barkley's season to Eric Dickerson, and we all know Saquon sat the last game, which, whatever. But even though, I'm saying both only played 16, well, even though Saquon sat the last game, Eric Dickerson had far more carries, which is something I wasn't aware of. But generally speaking, when these guys break records, the ones that we truly respect, for the most part, they do it in fewer games or fewer attempts. Like when back in the day when Ray Allen broke Reggie Miller's 3-point record, he did it in fewer games, fewer 3-point attempts. When Steph Curry broke Ray Allen's record, he did it in even fewer games with fewer attempts. That's breaking a record. Now, there are exceptions. Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's home run record. He did it in more at-bats. But still, he wasn't out there purposely trying to hit home runs because he never hit 50 in one season in his career. But he was a guy that had excellent health. He aged very well as an athlete. And he snuck up on us because everybody thought if anybody was going to break the record, initially thought it was going to be Mickey Mantle. Actually, people thought it was going to be Jimmy Fox. Jimmy Fox broke down very early in his early 30s. But then people said, okay, it's going to be Mickey Mantle, but he broke down. Then people said, okay, it's going to be Willie Mays. He came pretty close. He came about 55 home runs shy of breaking it, but he started breaking down. But Hank Aaron, Mr. Slow and Steady, he broke it, and we respect him for that. He wasn't out there purposely trying to hit 2 home runs every at bat. LeBron James is everything that's wrong with sports, in my opinion. Everything, the narcissism, the self-indulgence. Now, when I say self-indulgence, I don't mean like gorging himself on pie or nothing like that. But he's self-indulgent in the sense that he only cares about himself. His ego is as bloated as Chris Farley's corpse when they found it back in '97. I'm trying to be disrespectful to Farley, but I had to say that for emphasis. This guy is the biggest egotistical. I said it before. I've just never seen a guy like this before in my life. I mean, he lives for adulation and praise. That's the only reason why he's playing right now is to break records. But anyway, shout out to Anthony Davis. I mean, he said it in jest, but it's the truth. And by the way, look, does anybody really care about this 30-point record? Like, did anybody outside of stat nerds like ourselves, did anybody really know this? Did anybody really care? It's like with the minutes record. Who gives a fuck? Honestly, who cares? Now, if you're talking about one of the scoring record, look, fine. There are caveats with that. 6,000 plus 3-point attempts versus Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's, 17, 18 3-point attempts. But, we gave him his flowers. But all these little miscellaneous records, who really cares? You know what I'm saying? What's next? LeBron has the most points ever scored under 3 presidential administrations in a row. Like, is that going to be the new record? Like, it's just stupid stuff that nobody cares about. But that's all I got to say about it.